Every October since 2011, Retro Movie Geek has brought you the spooky side of retro movies. And this year is no different. So, a haunting we will go as we dig up classic tales of ghosts and hauntings that are 20 years old or older. But remember, we spoil the hell out of every movie we cover. So consider yourself forewarned. Spooky Flix Fest starts now.
Hi, and welcome to Spooky Flix Fest 2023. This is Jay of the Dead, the titular host of Jay of the Dead's new horror movies, the berserk baboon of horror podcasting. And everybody thought that was Joel. Our show has a total of 9 horror hosts, and as we record this, in fact, we are missing Gilman Joel Robertson. Ever heard of him? Mr. Watson, Dr. Walking Dead, and Ron Martin. So we will miss those dudes, but they send their love to you. I assure you that. But I am happy, very happy to welcome 4 hosts that are present here with me, and that's Dave Dr. Shock Becker, Greg Amortis, Macula, and Dave Z. Welcome, fellas.
Yo.
Thank you. Awesome.
Hey. Oh, Jason, I love this podcast. Let's just do this forever.
You got it, brother. Do you guys have anything you want to say specifically to the Retro Movie Geek / Spooky Flix Fest audience?
Well, I mean, I've been doing this Spooky Flix Fest for years and years now. I mean, going all the way back to when it was Forgotten Flix.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, and I remember talking about the Funhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the first podcasts I actually, not the first, but maybe one of the first 5 that I actually listened to that I was on.
Nice.
Because I don't usually listen to myself, and I sent it to like family members and other people, and I said, hey, this one's pretty good. Definitely check this one out. And that was a lot of years ago. I don't even remember. I mean, how long has it been Retro Movie Geek now? I mean, the Forgotten Flix is going back around the time I first met Joel. And which was around the time I first met you, Jay, which has got to be between 2010 and 2012,
it's like
something like
2010. Yep.
Yeah,
time.
So it's got to be maybe 10 years since we've done that. But I've been part of the Spooky Flix Fest ever since then, and it's a tradition, and I love being part of it.
Yeah, we appreciate that they invite us back. We're really grateful, and this is literally my message to this Retro Movie Geek audience is this is the pinnacle for me personally. Each Halloween season, the Spooky Flix Fest coverage is what I look forward to the most for me. But Greg Amortis, do you have any messages for them real quick? Anything?
Yeah, the same. I'm still so glad that Peter come out of the closet and he's not hiding in there anymore with his reviews. We love you, Peter. And I love these guys. They're so great. You got to go back and listen to Land of the Creeps and understand the closet situation. He would always
Peter records so many episodes in that closet because he's how many hours ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Multitude. What a trooper. We love him.
He's great.
Love Bill, man.
Yes. That's a good crew over there. And Dave Z and Mac, you guys have anything you want to say to this audience?
I'm just happy to be part of it because I was here last year for it, and I'm an avid podcast listener.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to so many podcasts, mostly horror related, since like 2012. Mm-hmm. So I've heard about it being discussed in the past from some of your shows and some other shows I listened to. Mm-hmm. And it's cool that after all this time, I got to be on it. So I'm just happy to be involved.
Mac?
I just think Joel's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a special place in my heart for Joel.
He's a good guy. Yep, definitely.
I want a bobblehead of Joel that looks like him. I would love that, actually.
Or
that would be cool.
We've got to figure out a way to just like all of us show up at his doorstep on a random day when he's not expecting us.
Oh, yeah. Heather would love
and
that.
And just be like, dude, we're throwing a party right now.
And just knock on his door down there in Florida, yes.
We could totally do a purge scene. We could all show up with masks and just stand around his house.
Yes.
Unexpected, staring at him.
Yes. Let's do it.
Well, my daughter's in Florida as we speak. I should get his address and see how close she is, and then she can show up.
There you
Who
go.
Are
just
you?
show up at his door, right?
I'm
Hello?
Frankie Z. Who? I'm Dave Z's daughter, and this is for you, you know?
That's great. I love it. All right. Well, from among the spooky list of spooky selections for this episode, we'll be discussing a spooky flick from 1999 titled Stir of Echoes.
Oh, I saw a guy who got a 2-inch needle stuck into his arm while he was under hypnosis, didn't feel a thing.
Okay, Kreskin, prove it. Hypnotize somebody.
Yeah, do me.
No.
Come on. What's the worst that can happen?
Close your eyes.
Stir of Echoes. It was directed by David Koepp, and it stars Kevin Bacon. And here's the premise. Adapted from the 1958 Richard Matheson novel of the same name, Stir of Echoes is a mystery thriller horror movie that stars Kevin Bacon, who plays Tom, a family man who begins to see a ghostly young woman in his house after he is hypnotized at a party. So that's a basic premise, and just a warning, of course, to everybody, this review will contain spoilers henceforth. So Greg Amortis, what are your thoughts on Stir of Echoes?
Thoroughly enjoy this, and I watched it this afternoon, and I had not seen this in years. I mean, I own it. I feel like Dave now. I own it. Of course you do. But no, Pearl and I watched it today, and I was blown away. She's seen it multiple times, but I had forgotten everything about it. It was a new watch to me, basically, and I'm watching it, and I figured it out pretty quick after she gave me a couple of clues at the beginning. Mm-hmm. When she gave me the beginning about, she says it's like the Sixth Sense, the boy, and I was like asking her questions, but after, we find out what happens and we know, what's being buried and whatnot, I knew instantly, guys. I was like, okay. I even told her, I was like, this happened, and I did. I nailed it. But no, I love it, man. I think the tension's there. I love Kevin Bacon, man. I thought he'd done an outstanding job. I won't say it's his best role, but I will say it was a very good role. I thought the little boy was adorable, man. That little boy was so talented. And I looked him up, guys. He didn't do anything else. He was uncredited as a nephew and wedding singer, and that's it. I was like, dude, I would have expected this kid to have went on and done so much. He was so well done in this movie. Kevin Dunn, great cast, man. I love it. The only thing I would say that would kind of get me off a little bit was some of the scenes in Chicago. I guess it's supposed to be in Chicago. I felt like got a little cluttered sometimes. Like, what do? Do they have block parties every night? And it just felt a little, it just felt a little off. But other than that, man, I loved it. I loved the tension toward the end, when Kevin starts having the visions and, he's trying to dig. The dig part especially was freaking insane. You see where he's going. So I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. And Macula, I think this was a first-time watch for you, right?
It was, and I finished it late last night, like super late last night. And so my initial thoughts are, and by the way, best Kevin Bacon movie, The River Wild. Oh, I love that movie so much.
So good.
But yeah, you're right, though. Kevin Bacon is really good in this movie. And for me, like, one thing that's really cool about movies is, like, you kind of get to show things in a way that you can't really do it any other way. It's like if you were at someone's house trying to hypnotize someone, right, which is like happens at the beginning of this movie, and you could just sit there and you're watching them be hypnotized, which just looks like they're sitting in a chair. Maybe they're saying this, maybe they're saying that, whatever. But the way they like hypnotize him and they show it from his perspective, sitting in the dark theater, you're getting closer to the screen. All that is so effective and really cool. And then the other thing that I thought was extremely clever about this movie, sorry, I got a kid on my knee. But the other thing that was,
and he's a ghost.
Effective,
he's a ghostly kid.
I know I think he sees someone in the corner. Is what he's But the other thing that was super effective is that Maggie kept seeing the ghost, or no, she didn't see the ghost, but the ghost was like right next to her, which is a cool and spooky thought. It's like how many ghosts are sitting right next to Dave at his house and he just doesn't even see them.
A lot.
Yeah. Thank God I'm not at my house right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Instead, the Jersey Devil is presently sitting beside Dr. Shock. But
yes, right down here in Ocean City, New Jersey, he's like hovering about.
Yes. Okay, Dave Becker. So what do you have to say about this movie?
I'm sort of a sucker for supernatural films in general. And this year, there were two amazing ones. And this was one of them. The scenes with Kevin Bacon where he's experiencing that young girl. And it builds a mystery. It sort of builds a mystery where you're at first sort of afraid of this girl. And then you're sort of like, geez, what happened? Why is she contacting him? But what got me about this movie more than anything was how his quote unquote sixth sense was awakened. This hypnotism. You know, he didn't have it before. It's interesting that his son had it. And I sort of looked at that it was dormant in him. But this hypnotism woke it up in him. And all of a sudden, that's what he was dealing with. I myself, and it scared the hell out of me because maybe 10 years before I saw this movie, I myself was hypnotized on a stage in front of 250 or 300 people.
That explains a lot, Dave.
It probably does, yeah. And I'm telling you, I was up there, and it was a very surreal experience for me because I don't remember most of it. You know, a friend of mine had brought me down to Philadelphia to see this radio host / sort of religious leader / self-help guru. I don't know if anyone's heard of him. His name is Roy Masters. And he put the suggestion in the entire crowd. And he said, anyone the suggestion worked on, come up to the front of the stage. And I was one of about 8 people that it worked on. And I remember nothing about what happened after that. Apparently, I made some sort of major confession on stage. Roy Masters embraced me. Another person embraced me. The crowd applauded me. It wasn't until I was halfway back to my seat that I finally regained sort of full consciousness. And my friend was like, dude, what the hell?
Well, tell it right now. The Retro Movie Geek audience would like to hear your confessions.
No.
Is this the one? Is this the one with the Barbie doll?
No. Oh,
okay.
You know what? I wish it was the one with the Barbie doll. No, this is something very deep and very sort of serious, and I'm not going to get into it right now because I didn't even realize I had made such a confession until well after I had done so. But seeing that hypnotism can bring that out of you, and I sort of looked into it. I'm like, hey, I guess it's something that's real. It scared the hell out of me because I'm like, dude, if I start seeing ghosts now, I'm out. I'm not going to be able to handle this shit.
Nice. That's a really fascinating.
So that really affected me when I saw that scene, that hypnotism, and it's very well done. You know, with you're getting closer to the screen, and he wakes up and goes, "What have you done to me?" It's like he knows immediately.
Yeah. He's
now different.
Yeah.
And something different is happening to him. And then what happens to him, I'm telling you, what is like my greatest nightmare. It's like all of a sudden being able to tap into that world. But it does build a very interesting mystery. It really does. And I think this might be, it's not one that gets talked about a lot, but I think this might be sort of one of the great supernatural films of the last 30 years. I really put it up there with that because there are moments in this that terrify me. And, you know, Mac, you were talking about the scenes with his wife. And I'm thinking specifically in the bathroom, in the bathtub, where the girl is sitting there and the wife has no idea there's somebody there with her.
Yes.
And what happens in that scene, it's very intense. And you just get those moments. You get jump scares. You get an intriguing mystery. And you get a character initially, this girl that you're scared to death of, who you eventually feel incredible pity for with what happens to her. I just thought it was a very well-constructed film. I thought it was very well put together. And, I rank it. I think it's in my top 10 of 1999, and that was a damn good year.
Yes, it was.
For movies in general.
Daryl, I'm losing it. Daryl, I like to watch you sleep. Watch you sleep. Especially when I unplug your CPAP machine.
Thank you, Dr. Shock. Okay, Dave Z, what do you have to say about this film?
I've always been a pretty big fan of it, honestly. I think that it's kind of overlooked, and mostly because Sixth Sense coming out so close to it, it seems like that got all the attention, and this one kind of got relegated to like what became later like hidden gem status. But it seems like more and more people are aware of it now. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed it. You know what? Stories like this really do it for me. And this, the way the reveals happen, it's a favorite of mine. It isn't done very much, but it's usually about a ghost that has a tale of woe to tell how they were wronged. Yes. And you think about movies like The Changeling and Ghost Story from 1981 and even Ring, from Japan, the original, having similar type reveals. And this fits along with them. And I'm a sucker for that. If it's done right, it's really cool. And something about this movie is that the characters are all so good and believable. like Kevin Bacon, Tom, he's a believable character for what he's going through, and you still like him. And then Maggie, his wife, is just great. Talk about a total package. She is just, she's beautiful. Yep. She is a great wife. She's a hardworking woman. She's a great mother. And you got to admit, she is more than patient with everything that's going on here.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Not a lot of people would be. Even at the end, her ultra patience and not being angry when a lot of people would be angry because he didn't make the trip for the funeral, of her coming there to pick him up and not doing it in a malicious way, not getting there saying, you better be ready to come out. No, she was just up there, coming up to honk the horn, and she ends up, doing what she ends up being a big help. But she's great. The little boy is great, and he's not one bit annoying. Nobody could say that. A lot of times people complain about children in the movies. He's not. Right. The sister is great with the hypnotism. She's kind of like a lovable smartass, which is always a good character to have, and she knows what she's doing when it comes to, hypnotism, and they're all pretty good. And the best stuff is the neighborhood stuff. Like, they have the best friends, and one of the son is privy to what, while responsible for the ultimate crime that happened, and, the other one. But when you see them get together in the beginning and go to the football game, it's all so believable. They have this camaraderie. They even say it later. It's said a few times because it comes back, but it's like, this is a good town. But you just feel like these are actually real people. Mm-hmm. And that's something a lot of people, I don't think, mention when they talk about this movie, because there's so much other stuff going on. It's supernatural, and just the story is great. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed this movie, and I'd say I know Dave said something about the last 30 years being one of the best supernatural ones, and I could probably sign off on that. It's a really, really great film.
Yeah.
Nice.
I agree.
You know what? And you're talking about the neighborhood stuff, Dave Z. You're absolutely right. I mean, this reminds me in a way of a movie from several years later, 2003, called Mystic River.
Mm-hmm,
where you really are dealing with that neighborhood and the people in it. Now, the neighborhood is more driving the story in that one than it is in this one, but you feel that same sort of camaraderie, that same sort of, and that's another neighborhood that has this sort of terrible secret that it's keeping. And it turns out there's several secrets that the neighborhood's keeping in Mystic River, but you get that same feel of the neighborhood in both of those films. And I think it's believable in both of them. Yes, it's absolutely believable. Yes.
Like, you see a guy and even says, what did you want us to do? Let our sons be punished for the rest of our life, or what? You could see people that are normally, good, decent folk, just when push comes to shove and something happens to their child, what they're going to do to protect them. Because we could say and preach all day about what we believe in and everything else, but a lot of times when push comes to shove, and I've said it several times, I'd hide bodies for my daughter.
Yep.
Am I proud of it? No, but it's like I would do it without thinking. There's not even it's something that it's like breathing for a parent in many cases. They don't even think about it.
Where would you hide them, Dave Z?
Where would I hide them? Well, there'd be nowhere to hide, because any smart person knows that there has to be nothing left. So you got to disintegrate, you got to freaking burn, and whatever's left over, you got to put in different parts of the country.
We'd feed them to pigs. We'd feed them to pigs, because pigs eat humans.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know what are the movies? What are the movies?
I'd wear a mask.
Getting fed to the pigs. The one that least reminds for me is 2000 Snatch.
Yes.
That's the one I'm thinking of, with feeding the pigs.
Well, there is a pig in this movie. I wanted to point it out because, like every movie tonight, there's a pig in it. And it's a real quick scene, but the kid's watching TV, and he's watching something involving a pig on the screen. So once again, a pig's involved.
Damn right. And Doc Shock stole my thunder a little bit, so great point, Dave Becker. This reminded me as I was watching this, I'm like, this is like a sort of a blend between Mystic River and The Sixth Sense. And yet this preceded both of those from 1958 adaptation. But
yes, exactly.
This also has a few things I'd like to really highlight on this. Is it has some body horror, which is cool. And then the execution of things, like you guys talked about the hypnotism sequences, and especially like when the theater walls go, when they're turned black, that looks really good. That holds up great. I think it looks exceptional, even still.
Yeah, I agree.
And then there's this conversation where the mom and the dad are trying to talk at the same time. They're trying to get information out of the little boy. And it's this very hectic, irritating, upsetting conversation. And I was paying attention to the way that was manipulating me as a viewer. And I'm like, wow, that was really well done. That was slick. And I was pulled into the anxiety of that scene. So that was impressive. This movie also, speaking of the power of suggestion and hypnotism, this movie made me drink orange juice. This is like some serious, serious Minute Maid product placement in this. You guys also talked about, how this ghost has a problem. As with many ghosts, they haunt for a reason. There was a prior evil,
right.
And I love how that's addressed. In one scene...
And you find out what happened to this... Well, let's not go into it. Well, it's a spoiler podcast. Shit, we can go into it.
Yeah.
You find out what happened to this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And you really do. You go from being terrified of her to saying, I hope she gets the justice she deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, it puts Kevin Bacon on her side and against his community.
Yep.
All of a sudden, he had been part of this community. Now he's working against at least several aspects of the community. Not the community as a whole, but several aspects of the community.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and I guess the last couple of notes I'd have just before we go into our final thoughts and ratings is even in the opening sequence of this, we have the kid, what appears to be breaking the fourth wall. I mean, he's not talking to us, actually. He's talking to the ghost, but it's amazing to have that kid look at the camera and talk directly toward us. I love that.
But what a creepy moment to sort of set up this story when that happens, because then the mother turns to say hello and sees nobody there.
Right. And when Kevin Bacon, it kind of struck me funny, right? He's in the backyard and he kicks that bucket, and I'm like, oh, he kicked the bucket. And this is a movie about death. And then it breaks that window, and I read in the trivia that was unintentional. It just happened. And another,
he also pulled a muscle, I think, in that scene where he was shoveling.
Yes.
I think I read that in the IMDb trivia where he pulled a neck muscle.
Yes, he did.
Or something, and he was in some serious pain through a portion of this shoot because of that.
Right. And then when she's away for the funeral and bad things are happening back at home, that reminded me a lot of Pet Sematary again. So that was like reminiscent of that for me as well. And then finally, I guess the last thing, one of my favorite elements of this is like the very final moments they're driving and the boy goes by all those houses and hears all of the various voices he's receiving. And that's just incredible to me.
It's sad, man.
It is.
I feel bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like it's going to be what happened to, well, not just the little kid in The Sixth Sense, but the guy at the beginning of The Sixth Sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one who's Bruce Willis's character was trying to help.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg,
Mm-hmm.
This is his life. This is what's going to be happening to this kid for the rest of his life. And it's tragic. It truly is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Peter, jag kommer att äta dina ögonbollar.
All right, well, let's do final thoughts and ratings so we can bring this puppy home here. Let's start with Greg Mortis. Let's hear it, brother.
High recommendation. This is a purchase by all means. I swear I want this on VHS if I don't already have it, because we need that high quality, Jay.
Yes.
High quality VHS. And I own it on DVD, but I got the cool slip cover case. It's awesome because it has looks like black ooze coming down it, and then you slide it out. It's really awesome. This is an 8.5 for me. I absolutely love it. I think everyone should watch this at least once. I know Dave Z said with Sixth Sense, it gets so much praise, rightfully so, but man, don't sleep on Stir of Echoes, man. Definitely give this movie a watch. I give it a bang up, 2 thumb up, and go purchase.
All right. Thank you. Yes. And Macula, what are your final thoughts and ratings?
This one's hard for me because it really did start super strong for me. And then I can't exactly put my finger on it, but as the movie went on and got towards the end, I was like, something is not working for me. I love the digging sequence in the Burbs, but for some reason I was just really annoyed with the digging that was happening with Kevin Bacon. I don't know what it was. Also, the more I thought about it, I was like, she should have given him a better clue, because that's not what I would describe as, because we find that there's a wall, right?
Yeah.
And it's I would say wall or something like that. Don't say dig, or I don't know. But I can't put my finger on exactly all the elements of what happened at the end, because you guys are right. There's so many strong points to this, but I hate to admit this, but I had this feeling when the movie ended where I was like, I could have gone my whole life without seeing this and been fine. So I have a weird recommendation. I know this is horrible, Jason, but my recommendation is that film professors out there should show the scene where he gets hypnotized the first time and kind of explain to their students, look at how powerful cinema can be in putting you in the shoes of our main character, and then turn it off after that scene and then just do something else, do a different movie. I'm so sorry, Jason. So I was literally at a 4.5 when I finished this movie for some reason. I don't know why, but so I'm saying avoid it unless you're a professor, then show that scene to your students.
Okay.
Sorry, Jason.
Macula with the controversy. You're going to be haunted, I think, but 4.5 avoid. That's okay, Mac. Whatever you think, brother, is what you think. Okay, Dr. Shock, what do you
All
say?
right. I think that 3-minute digging scene that Mac is talking about didn't quite ruin the entire movie for me. And also, yes, I would recommend they look at the beginning and the young spirit of the girl who has been trying to reach out for so many years and finally found somebody to listen, saying dig. Well, maybe she just didn't even know if he was going to be listening to her. But anyway, that aside, I think it's a very strong supernatural film. I think Kevin Bacon is excellent in it. I think all of the characters are very believable. I love as we were talking about, the neighborhood, the way they built up this neighborhood, and the secret that they're trying to hide. I would give this a 9 out of 10. I'm going to double Mac. I'll say a 9 out of 10. I say it's one that you definitely want to own or pick up. And I think you'll want to see this multiple times. And Mac, if it was your first viewing, I say definitely watch it again. And if you want, skip that 3-minute digging scene.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, Dr. Shock. Thank you. And Dave Z, what say you, buddy?
Okay, I'll address the digging scene quick because when we talked about it on Exploding Heads, we all kind of found humor in it. Like that one part when she's really busting his balls and she says something and he's like, no, I won't, he tells her. He's kind of funny, you know?
Yes.
But I was also thinking about the painted black thing, how that comes around. And I just, it pays off. There's some cool things if you look for them in the movie. And also one more hint that she did give, and I didn't figure it out until this watch. There's that one scene earlier in the movie when she says the pilot light went out on the water heater downstairs, and she asked him to do it. She goes, well, I guess I'm good, because he was listening to Painted Black at the time or what have you. Well, the water heater is right there next to, and I noticed it when he went down there and he did his thing and, he bust open the wall. It's like right next to that part in the wall. Mm-hmm. So I think by her putting that water heater, the pilot out, I think that was another clue she was trying to send them. And I'm glad Max said that because I literally didn't think about it till today when I watched it, when I saw it. And I didn't have it as a note from the last time. Nice. But yeah, ultimately, I really enjoyed the story. Like I said, it's like those other movies I mentioned. And I guess if you saw it maybe in 99, it wouldn't be, I don't want to say easy to figure out, but I don't know. They become a little more commonplace, those type of reveals over the years. But ultimately, yeah, I say to own it. I have the Lionsgate Blue, and it looks really, really good. So I don't even need the 4K if it comes out in 4K. That's how good the blue looks. And it's really solid. Buy it, and it's an 8.5 for me.
All right, and I'll just bring it home. I'm in the 8.5 range as well. I think this is a must-see for people who like thrillers, supernatural, or horror. I think it definitely gets to the horror realm in it. And I love crime films anyway, and this is definitely one of those upsetting crime situations as well. So, yeah, this gets creepy. It's entertaining, it's fun, and it is a tremendous performance by Kevin Bacon. I call it a buy. So I say buy. Stir of Echoes, 1999. So there you have it, everybody. Retro Movie Geek audience, hope you enjoyed this review of Stir of Echoes. Feel free to write to Gilman Joel and the crew and to harass them as much as you want. They welcome that, and we would enjoy it if you harass them for us. Anyways, we appreciate the invitation to participate in Spooky Flix Fest 2023, and you're welcome to come over and check us all out over at Jay of the Dead's New Horror Movies, and you can find us at newhorrormovies.com. So on behalf of the Horror Avengers who are not here, Gilman Joel, Mr. Watson, Dr. Walking Dead, and Ron Martin, and on behalf of those who are here, Dr. Shock, Greg Amortis, Macula, and Dave Z, we all thank you for listening to Retro Movie Geek's Spooky Flix Fest 2023, and this is Jay of the Dead, over and out.
Thank you for listening. Get all the spookiness you can handle this October by subscribing to Mom and Pop Video Shop on YouTube. You can also find Retro Movie Geek on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you dig up your podcasts. The spooktastic music you heard at the beginning and end of this episode was provided courtesy of Ed and Gavin and their band, Midnight Syndicate. We want to thank them for the use of music from their albums Gates of Delirium and The 13th Hour. Want to sink your ghostly claws into this and all Midnight Syndicate's beautifully macabre music? Then go to midnightsyndicate.com. And remember, spooky is as spooky does.